You know what they say, the first look is the most important. We tend to make up our minds on someone the very first moment we lay eyes on them. In most cases, that perception ends up staying permanently. This info is essential to be aware of in the dating market. You want to make the best first impression on who could potentially be your one and only, or a friend with benefits, or maybe even just a one-time swing. Whatever it is, you want to be in a state which truly welcomes them in, which gives off an impression that, if it ends up sticking, would only be to your benefit. You don't want to be a great guy who gets a heinous label and lives out his days in that misery. I wouldn't wish that on my enemies. So today, I'm going to tell you the 5 things which instantly make women attracted to you. Disclaimer: I'm not saying these are some magic formulas which will hypnotize any and every woman in the world. Sorry for breaking it to you if that's what you wanted. However, they will put you on the perfect start with almost every woman you encounter. And as we know, once the foundation is strong, the sky's the limit. So without any further ado, let's dive right in. And the very first and most important thing you need to have ticked off is good hygiene. I'll be straightforward, there is nothing more important than having good hygiene. If you do the 4 other things right in this video, but miss hygiene, you'd still be bound to fail. Imagine a girl sees you for the first time ever, or maybe sits beside you in class, and you reek. You wouldn't know you're reeking since your mind has adjusted to it, but she and everyone else definitely will. And guess what? She's nicknamed you Smelly Pete in her head. Or imagine you meet a girl for the first time and have food stuck between your teeth. I'm sure we can agree, bad first impression by all means. The point is, whether you do anything else or not, whether you're full of life or borderline depressed, you still gotta keep your hygiene game to the T. Absolutely no compromise on that end. Clip your nails properly, take a shower every day, use a subtle cologne, not those overpowerful deodorants which make you smell like you came straight from a summer camp for 14-year-olds. Second, you have to be conscious about body language. Up to 90% of communication comes from body language. This means it is ultra important you are consciously aware of what your body actions are communicating. A few pointers to keep in mind: stand or sit up straight, smile naturally, don't fidget, and definitely don't cross your arms to start. It just shows you're trying to add a barrier between you and her, most probably due to your insecurities and low self-esteem. If you want to leave the right impression, you have to demonstrate, not just tell, that you're comfortable in your skin, that you accept yourself 100%. It's a very attractive message to send across, believe me. Also, use your hands within reason when you are speaking, and make sure you are also paying attention to her body language cues. If she's recoiling away from you, that means you might need to tone it down. Or if she's closed off and the energy seems off, you gotta be wise enough to pick those things up. When you are giving off a bad impression, she will close herself off to you, and that will be crystal clear with her body language. It will be concrete cold, not open and inviting. Third, be positive but not too positive. A negative guy who complains about everything under the sun is for sure not going to make a good first impression. That kind of guy will have women counting down the minutes until they can get away from them, and then cause them to never look back. Do not be negative during your first impression, as women tend to expect your best behavior. If you make it a point to come off as a half-empty kind of guy, you'll seem like a migraine to be around. I don't care if being a pessimist is a personality trait for you, you gotta turn it off to make a strong impression. Having a positive attitude is always going to win over a woman's opinion about you. But just make sure you do not overdo it. If you are singing about sunshine and lollipops, then you'll appear naive, childish, and even a bit crazy. Men are at their optimal when they're realistic and leaning towards the optimist side. When you have an open life attitude, you are showing this girl that you aren't stuck in your ways and you are open and accepting head to toe. Positivity is attractive, and that's a fantastic first impression to make. So, just try to send the message that you love life and that you are a happy person in general. That'll make her want a lot more of your company. Fourth, be a good conversationalist. If you are talking about the weather, that's really not going to capture the attention of any girl. When you are trying to make a good first impression, You need to talk about things that push you past the normal phase. What this means is you need to get up close and personal. You need to open up to her and let her in a little if you have a chance of impressing her. And remember, if you aren't asking questions, you are probably yammering on about yourself. And if you are talking too much about you, then you risk the chance of coming across as self-centered and egocentric, neither of which will leave you with a good first impression. The unfortunate reality is, selfish guys don't usually get very far in the area of impressing. When you put the focus on her, you are making her feel important, and that's a step in the right direction in impressing anyone. Make sure you don't just keep pummeling her with questions, because that's not right either. If you ask the questions and share your opinions and beliefs, she's going to see you with open eyes instead of closed ones. This is a great way to show her you really do care about her thoughts and feelings, and want to learn more if the feeling is mutual. Also, try and keep the talk flowing. Now, don't get too keyed up on this, because there are going to be moments of silence in any conversation, but whether they are awkward or not will be up to you. If you learn the art of making the conversation flow or keep going, you're going to decrease the risk of turning her off because of this natural weirdness. Remember, girls are quick to judge, and with many, you won't ever get a second chance to make a good first impression. What's done is done. But guess what? It really isn't that tough to find things to talk about. Take care of these few things, and you'll definitely plant a good seed of yourself in her mind. Well, before you can plant the actual seed somewhere else. You know what I mean. Lastly, make the first move fast. If you notice a woman and get her attention, then make the first move fast. The longer you wait to approach her, the less she will react on instinct, and the more she will overthink the whole thing. For instance, if you are at a bar and you make eye contact with a woman, her interest will be aroused. If you approach her quickly, she will still be in that state of arousal, more prone to reciprocating well. But if you wait too long, she will start to form an opinion about you that could take a negative turn. Instead of letting her form her own opinion about you purely by imagination, you want to get in there and do and say things that leave the first impression you want to leave. And side note, make it a point to be genuine. The nerves might get a hold of you when you're trying to make that good first impression. However, you still need to be authentic. If you aren't, you'll send her running for the door. Don't be a pleaser, agreeing or disagreeing with her just because that's what you think she wants you to do. Just try to talk normally and don't get into topics of conversation that might hit an extreme emotional chord, like pro-life versus pro-choice. Stay true to you and her, and you'll be breezing. With that said, let's conclude today's video. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you support the channel down below by dropping a like and subscribing for more future content. See you in the next one. Stay blessed.